I don't want to offend anyone. If you love VLOOKUP, well, I challenge you to try XLOOKUP and see if you'll ever go back. I challenged my wife to do that, and she has never gone back, and I'm confident that you will all feel the same way. Let's first start with the EO_month function. Now, people may think, what's the big deal? EO_month, it's a simple function in order for getting the end of the month. What many people don't realize is that this function is so versatile for getting dates. It is something that I use all the time for getting a year, for getting a specific amount of months from a start date, or it even allows you to get a specific term. Now, you do need to get a little bit creative, whether you need to get to the first of the month, the last of the month, or a few months into the future or backwards. But the general idea with the syntax, it's super simple. You type in equals EO_month with an open parentheses. You point to that start date. So in this case, let's say you're pointing to 1/1/2024, and then you enter in the amount of months into the future in order to get the end of that month. Now, EO_month works where 0 allows you to get to the end of the current month. So if you hit a 0, you'll get to the end of the current month. If you hit a 1, you will get to the end of the next month. If you hit a -1, you will get to the end of the prior month. So if you want to get to the beginning of the current month, look at what we're doing here. EO_month, you point to the date, you hit a -1, and then you add 1. Now, don't worry, this is just the theory. We're going to be going over this directly in our Excel file, and that's when it'll really click. But as a preview, this is how you could actually use the EO_month function. All right, Jennifer has a question about absolute references. Jennifer, we'll get to those questions. Just feel free to put that in the Q&A, and any other questions, we'd be happy to get to you at the end. All right, let's talk about probably the easiest function now for today, maybe the next two functions, and that is the year function. Now, as you can imagine, the year function, all it does is it extracts the year from a specific date. So if you have 1/31/2024, if you use the year function to pull that information, you will get 2024. It's that simple. You may be wondering, why would I need to use the year function? Well, we'll see in the way that we're going to set up our files dynamically that the year function is actually very helpful, just like the month function. Now, what the month function does is, again, you just point to a date and it'll give you the actual month. So if you are in January and you point with the month function to that cell, you'll get a 1. If you're in November, you will get an 11. Now, here's where things really get interesting. If you're thinking about how exactly to get to a quarter, well, that is when we have to get a little bit creative. Because Excel doesn't have a function that'll allow you to get to Q1, Q2, Q3. But as those of you who are especially in FP&A know, you may be meeting with your board every quarter and you want to show quarterly information. It's very helpful to have a mechanism in which you could actually get the quarter. And with everything that we're doing today, we don't want to have to just manually do a sum to 3 random cells in order to get that quarter. Well, that will work. That isn't scalable. That doesn't allow us to set up that formula once and drag the information in any direction. Instead, we want to be able to get the quarter by utilizing a combination of the month feature and the roundup feature. So how does the month feature work as a refresher? Well, we just spoke about it, right? The month feature gets the actual month that you are in. So I'm saying month ACE, right? That'll return 1. The month of January is 1. The month of February is 2, and so forth. Now, here's the key. In order to get the quarter, how many months are in each quarter? There are 3, right? So if I divide the month by 3, I'll get 1/3 for January, 1/3. I'll get 2/3 for February. I'll get 3/3 for March. Now, notice all of those values are between 0 and 1. So if we utilize the round up function, and WL is asking about this specifically, why are we using the 3? If we utilize the round up function, well, then 1/3 gets returned 1. 2/3 for February gets returned 1. 3/3, well, that already is 1, and it'll stay as 1. So utilizing this neat little trick of the round up function with the month function, we'll then get the opportunity to get the actual quarter. And to utilize that beautiful view where you have a Q before it, this over here, this ampersand, this is what allows you to append information. Now, this is the fourth function that we covered. I want to just iterate one thing. If you're already lost at what we're doing, you're forgetting what we're doing, don't worry. We're going to be opening up the Excel file and we're all going to be doing this together. And it's all going to make sense when you actually see that example there. But while we've gone through these four functions, there's one more that's especially useful, and that is combining all of this information with the date function. Now, what I like about the date function is you can specify any year, any month, and any day. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll utilize the date function in combination with the year function. But let's say I want to point to a cell like July 1st, 2025. And I want to say, what is the first date of this year? Well, I'll utilize the year function to get to that 2025. I'll utilize a 1 for the month and a 1 for the day. So the date function makes it really easy for you to return any value that you want by just giving it 3 parameters. And we'll see how useful that is for utilizing with the year to date function for sure. All right, we got 3 more formulas that we're going to go over. And this one, while it's not a date function, is something that I imagine most of us are familiar with. And this to me is really the heart and soul of all of computer programming, the if function. And it's super simple. If you specify your logical test, if the logical test is true, you can then say return whatever value you put here. If it is false, you then return whatever value that you put there. So look at what I'm doing here. Can anyone guess maybe what exactly this does over here? Just put in the chat if you follow what exactly this formula is. So I believe it was Steve earlier who spoke about named ranges. This over here, latest month of actuals, is a named range. And it's very common in financial modeling to have historicals as well as projections. So in order to get to your projections, you oftentimes need to understand what exactly your last month of actuals are. So Danielle says automatically updating which columns are actuals corrects and which columns are projections. So this one formula, I can just copy exactly as is. I have over here no dollar sign, so I could scale this across, and all the information will then return actual if I'm in a historical month or projection if I'm in a projected month. A very neat trick that I really like to use that we'll be covering shortly. But we got 2 more functions, and these functions now we're getting a little bit more advanced, and they allow us not only to get a date or an if function, they allow us to actually aggregate information. And these are probably the 2 most common functions that I use with any of my financial reporting. So the first one combines this if function with the sum function, which is called the sum if test or ifs. I don't really know how you pronounce it. Either way, you could also use the sum if function, but to me, I always like using sum ifs because you could have one condition, you can have multiple conditions, and it'll work the same. What's annoying about the sum if functions in a singular way is the syntax is a little different. So instead of you just utilizing the same syntax, you have to remember that the criteria range, I believe, comes first before the sum range. So here's how it works. Now, I love utilizing sum ifs whenever we want to take data from a detailed view, like you see over here, and bring that into a summarized view. Now, remember what we said, right? When you're sharing information in your role in finance and accounting, it's very easy to overwhelm users. We are just like being exploded at all times with information, ads, and AI everywhere. So people's overwhelm meter, it's at like an all-time low. When you share a report that has every single general ledger, and tell me, I've seen like hundreds, maybe thousands of general ledgers in my career. Some of them are like thousands of lines long. I'm like, well, do you really need like the investor's name in that general ledger? Sharing information at a detailed view could really overwhelm users. So what I like to do is utilize a sum ifs. I create this little mapping column that you see here. I point to the mapping column, and I say, if we have a match over here, bring in all the values in this column, if the mapping column maps to what I show here. So now we have a much prettier way of getting to our data compared to this initial way over here. And you can have as many criteria as you want. So that is the sum ifs function. We got one more function before we're going to open up that Excel file. And for those of you who mentioned that you use VLOOKUP, it's a little bit of a controversial topic because to me, VLOOKUP is an outdated function. I understand some people still use it. I understand there are some small use cases, but to me, XLOOKUP is the new and improved lookup function. What XLOOKUP allows you to do is, well, any lookup function, it allows you to get the precise value that matches to whatever criteria that you can set. And what I especially like about XLOOKUP is the fact a few things. First, unlike VLOOKUP, where you need to actually point to the number column that you want to pull, whether it's column 3, 4, 5, or whatever, you instead could just point to the actual lookup array. You can say, bring me the information from this column whenever it matches against that column. But what's also really great about XLOOKUP and index match, which is another one of my favorites, similar to XLOOKUP, is that you can do a two-way lookup with information. You can look up information horizontally and vertically, and it'll return that value. So we have a few people over here saying that XLOOKUP is the absolute winner, and that is not controversial. I don't want to offend anyone. If you love VLOOKUP, well, I challenge you to try XLOOKUP and see if you'll ever go back. I challenged my wife to do that, and she has never gone back, and I'm confident that you will all feel the same way. Now that we've gone over this, let's actually put this to good use. Like I said, this is going to be a practical session. If everyone will just hop over to the docs section